Prova, prova. Prova, prova.
Hello. Karaoke. 4 hours. I will survive. Good morning, and good morning, other cities too. And thank you for coming on a Saturday morning, on a beautiful sunny day. I'm sure the beach is calling for some of you, and you're here instead, so thank you very much for that. So today's lesson is modern letter writing. I think some of you sometimes think this may be a little irrelevant because of the use of email these days, but we think it's very important. And also in any legal course that you do, you will find a part of the course deals with modern letter writing. Okay, there are differences between an email and a letter, but a letter is still fundamental for a lawyer, and there are very important formats to follow. We'll be looking at the difference in archaic terms and modern day terms. We'll be looking at the correct salutations, the correct endings to a letter, which are very important. We'll be looking at the differences in date writing in different nations, fundamental. Okay, Julia will certainly be reminding you of the 3 S's again, because it's very important in letter writing as well. Yeah, and the formality of a letter, which, okay, maybe not archaic, but formal, yes, because remember in English we don't have a lay form, okay? Everybody is you, okay? Which means that we have to put the formality in the style of writing instead of using a lay form. Okay, so with that, we will start, unless Julia has something to add. No? Okay, well, you can start with this thing.
No, right, okay, good morning also from me again. Thank you for being here on this lovely boiling Saturday morning. Okay, if you get out your modules and look at the first exercise. Okay, we have an empty template of a standard letter. Okay, now, as Louise said, letter writing itself maybe isn't used quite so much anymore, or you have your standard template from Microsoft Works or whatever it is on your computer. However, we still do send letters, okay? And there is a big difference between a letter and an email. Obviously, emails I'll go into a little bit later on. But this is just a standard template of a letter. Morning. And what we'd like you to do is look at the template and put one of the sentences or the phrases next to each template. So, for example, the recipient's details, where do they go? The sender's address, where does it go? Subject line, salutation, etc. Okay?
complimentary clothes. The complimentary clothes is the.
I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
Might be a small chance that from the local places they are not they're not seen as kind of with some technical issues.
Really, before
Do
you.
you want us to repeat what we're doing?
I'm not sure yet, but it might be the option.
course, absolutely.
I'm just telling you in
No,
case.
that's fine. Just let us know when we have to do that, and we'll be happy to do that. That's fine. That's right.
Okay.
It's the same. Yeah, and it's either one. But as in D and E and
Yeah.
so it doesn't make that. Yeah, subject line as well. Subject line as well.
Okay. So you can do that before you do that.
Yeah, I tend to particularly
I would put steer first and then.
yeah, but you know. Okay, well you can just put them in the box like that. Okay, yeah.
For our colleagues in the other cities, I'll repeat the instructions of what we are doing at the moment. You have a template of a letter, and obviously a letter will be in a particular order, the address in a particular location, etc. On the right of your page, you have the parts of the letter, so the recipient's details, the sender's address, etc. And the students here in Florence are putting these into the correct position on the template. Okay. No, just one. Yeah, I think we did the second one just very quickly together. Yeah, yeah. But it was just sort of quickly. Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. Avvocato, It can be quite confusing, I think, yeah. Different look.
Wow.
Incognito. No, you had a long beard yesterday. The lady who was sitting there, she told me because she was a good owner.
write it on the board? No. When she's still writing.
Different speeds of working.
Okay, let's check together then. Right, so the recipient's details. Very good. Now the recipient's details are obviously the person that you are writing to. When we say the detail, that means their name. If the law firm obviously has a title, so studio legale, blah, 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 blah. The full address, okay? So that's the address, the street number, the postcode, and the city, okay? It's all of their details. The sender's address, good, and that's you, okay? And obviously it's the same as before, all of your details, okay? Full name, full address, name of the studio legale. The subject line. Okay, D and E could be, in this case, the subject line or even the salutation. There is absolutely no difference. You can, both are correct. D and E are both the subject line and or the salutation, okay? The subject line, which we will see later on this morning, but I will just say this is absolutely fundamental when you are writing to a client, because you are saying why you are writing, okay? So you're giving them a little bit of information about why you're writing so they know exactly, especially if you are writing to another lawyer as well, okay? You're writing case number 12345 Smith versus Jones. So they know exactly why it is you are writing to them, okay? And the salutation as well, we will go through after, because this is also extremely important that you get it right.
Seems simple, it isn't.
Yeah, as Louis says, it seems simple and it seems banal, but believe us, you're going to get it wrong.
Oh.
No, you will, sorry, but you do. You get it wrong. Okay. Then we have got the date. Where does that go? Good. B. Again, during this morning, we will be looking at how to write the date, because again, that is also very important, especially the difference between American English and British English. The complementary close. Where does that go? G, the complementary close is something like, please do not hesitate to contact me for further information, or the classic, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Okay, then we have the body of the letter. Excellent, so that tells you why you're writing. The printed signature block. Good, and that is all the information about you. So, Avvocato Jones, studio legale, etc., etc. And then the signature. H. Okay, H is your signature, okay?
They can be interchanged as well, I think.
No, they can't. No, they can't be changed. Right, the signature goes before the printed signature block, okay? So H is your signature, then underneath is your printed signature block.
Yeah, I think we said it wrong, that's why they
No, I said so H is the signature, and the last one is the printed signature block. Okay? Do you want it? Okay. Okay, right. On the next page, we've got another template. Okay. Now, there are two types of letters that you can find. I'm sure that all of you have printed letters, with the name of your studio legale at the top in nice flowery romantic letters, etc. Okay, so the previous letter is a letter without a letterhead. This is a letter with a letterhead, okay? We're going to do this quite quickly together so we can just work our way through it, okay? So we're going to do the same as before, okay? So we've got from A to J. Let's just go through them. So letter A, what do you think that is? Yeah, good. So letter A is the letterhead. Okay, so that's all the information about your studio legale. Okay. B? Yeah, B is the date. Okay. C? No. C is the reference. Slightly different from a subject line. A reference is always a number. Okay? A subject line has letters, words, etc. A reference is always a reference number. So reference number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Okay, D. Exactly, so the recipient's details. Again, make it full, put everything in that you need to. We will go through later on things like titles of people, because you have to be very careful when writing in English about who you give a title to. Unlike Italian, where everybody has a title, in English, we don't. Okay, only certain people have titles. E and F, I'm going to do, yeah, so subject line or salutation, they are both the same, it doesn't really matter. G, yeah, G is the body of the letter. Yeah, H, complimentary close, so the classic I look forward to, etc. I, signature, and J, the printed signature block. Yeah, even though, but the letterhead is different. The letterhead has studio legale, even founded in 1941. It's got the address. It's got everything, all the information about your studio legale. The printed signature is just information about you personally, who you are. So, Avvocato Jones, studio legale, etc., etc. Okay.
Okay, turning your pages, we move on to something very fast. Okay, it will take us a very short time to do this, but of course it's absolutely fundamental. This confuses us immensely. Think about the 11th of September, the tragedy in New York. They call it 9/11, okay? And for me, that is the 9th of November, okay? And it can be incredibly confusing. So it's absolutely fundamental that you know whether you're writing to a British colleague or an American colleague. It changes dramatically. Very confusing. So in Britain, it's the same as in Italy. First the day, then the month, then the year. In American, first the month, then the day, then the year. Okay, so just very, very quickly, looking at the dates that you have in front of you, letters A to K. Quickly, US or UK? Okay, so we're talking about the 8th of May, 2000 and something. Okay, so A, 8, 5. Yeah, A is America or UK? UK. B, US. C, US. I told you it was easy, but it's very important. D, UK. E, US. F, UK. G, UK. H, US. I, UK. J, UK. K, US. Okay. So our advice is to always write the name of the month in full. In reality, to avoid any confusion, the simple way is to write the number and the month in full. I believe it's only the US, but I'm not sure because we focus usually on, I think Australians use the same as British, but I cannot confirm that now. This is just going by my Australian colleagues do it the British way. And while I'm talking about dates and so forth, I'm sure you know this, but rather important is a difference actually between Italy and Britain when writing numbers. So, yeah, not in a date, number. So 1,900. Yeah, but many people don't know this. A decimal number, so is 1.10. Julia is staying far away from the board because when there is a number, she runs away. My mathematical colleague. Okay. Yeah, and I think it's Italy that's different in this case because I know the British and the Americans do it this way. The calculator does it our way, so I think that we are correct and not you. Okay. So that was just a very quick thing.
Sorry? No, it's okay. Okay, now here we go into the main part of today's lesson, how to write the perfect letter or email. Now, as I said to you yesterday, the way you present yourself with a letter is extremely important because you are writing to somebody in another language and it's not your language, and however good you are, you might make the odd little mistake. Okay, little mistakes, I'm going to say, are acceptable. However, if it doesn't impede the person from being able to understand exactly what you're trying to say. But the way you start a letter and the way you end a letter, there can be no mistakes, okay? As Louise said at the beginning, we don't dare del lei to people. We don't have it in English. So something in our language has to be formal, okay? And you remain being formal when you are writing to somebody, and also when you're talking to a certain extent, until the person, let's say, gives you permission to call them by their first name or, you know, to be a little less formal with them. But you, at the beginning, keep to the formality, okay? It's really, really important. So what I'd like you to do is look at the next page where it says salutations. Okay, this is just a reading. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to read it, okay? And then we're going to go through it together, okay? Okay, is everybody okay? Read through it? Yeah? Okay, one thing I'm just going to go over, it is actually written here, but I will just go over this Mrs. Ms. Okay, sorry, can you just be my valetta? So, this MS is pronounced Ms. Okay?
Or by me, Ms. Ms. So both are okay.
Mine's better. So it's Ms. Okay, so this is Mrs., Ms., Miss. Okay, like the verb miss. All right. Miss is generally not used, okay, because we use it when we're talking about very young girls. So I'm going to say from the ages of 5 to 16, 17, something like that. Yeah, maybe 5 to 18, 5 to 20, okay? Then in general, unless you know that the woman is married, okay, you're going to use Ms., okay? It's the more modern way of addressing a woman. So if you don't know if the woman is married, or if you're not sure if or exactly how old she is, okay, you're going to use Ms. Yeah?
I think originally this was considered almost a feminist issue because women started saying, really, a man is Mr. Why should a person know if I am married or unmarried? And this came into use. It's relatively recent, I would say. And another thing, before, for example, booking an aeroplane ticket, there was always an option for me between Miss, Mrs. and Ms. Now the option is Ms. or Mrs. only. This is not even an option on a booking form. I don't know if that's because they know my age or I'm not sure.
Exactly. So this is it. Because things have changed, yeah. Because things have changed, we've become a little bit more modern in our style of writing. Now, in England, it is not slightly different, but so I'm married. In England, I would automatically take my husband's surname. Okay, the law is slightly changing now. Now you have the possibility to choose whether you want to take your husband's surname or not. In general, though, the moment you get married, you take your husband's surname. So instead of being Ms. Julia Waldman, I would be Mrs. Julia Mannucci. Okay? Which makes it a little bit complicated for my mother because she doesn't understand that I am not Mrs. Mannucci. So if she sends me something, it becomes a little bit complicated. Try and tell her that. But in Italy, of course, it's different. Women don't take their husband's surname. You are still Ms. Gallai, for example. My mother-in-law is Gina Gallai, even though she's been married 54 years. So in Italy, obviously, it is different from English. If you are not sure, and if you have any doubts whatsoever about the woman you are writing to, then it's Ms., okay? Because you never know, the woman might be offended if you call her Mrs. Then, when you receive the letter back from the person with the printed signature block, you will see Mrs. Smith or Ms. Jones, okay? One other thing, Miss is also used when we talk about a spinster. Now, a spinster is an unmarried woman. In Italian, it would be a zitella, okay? Now, again, this is very, very old-fashioned. We don't use it unless you're talking about Miss Havisham from Great Expectations from Charles Dickens. But we don't use it, okay? Unless, of course, she uses it. There are still women of a certain age who are unmarried who will use it, and they do want to be called by Ms. Marple, for example. Agatha Christie, Miss Marple. She was a spinster and she was known as Miss Marple because she was an unmarried woman. Okay? But as I said, in general, we're using Ms. Any questions?
I think something similar is happening in Italy too, because nobody's calling young ladies Miss no longer. So for everybody's Signora now, according to the late Galateo.
But it took 20 years about to teach judges that we are avvocati and not Miss, because they appeal our colleagues, male colleagues, avvocato, and signorina to us. So it was very embarrassing. So now nobody, a judge can't say signorina to a young lawyer and so on. But it was very hard to...
Okay, thank you. Okay. Are there any doubts that you have about the salutations that we've just read through? Is there anything that you'd like to... No? One other thing I will mention, this dear sir or madam. Now, this is very important, dear sir or madam. You use this only once. Okay, this means if you are writing to a law firm or a company and you do not have a reference name, you don't know if you're writing to a man or a woman, etc., it's dear sir or madam. When they reply to you, you will have the name of that person. Do not continue to write dear sir or madam, okay? So dear sir or madam is used only once when you don't know exactly who you are writing to. Titles? Okay, yeah. One other thing. I'm on a bit of a roll here. This is my favourite lesson, by the way. I can tell. Titles of people. Now, I said at the beginning, titles, very, very important. You are all avvocati, right? Okay. Yeah, not in England, you're not. Okay? In England, you are Mr. Jones, Ms. Smith. Okay? In England, avvocati, so lawyers, engineers, architects. Sorry? Yeah, you're just average people. Sorry. Exactly. It's not particular. It's also not. I don't think it's correct either, because not to be disrespectful, I'm certainly not disrespectful at all, but it kind of shows that you want to say exactly who you are. Okay, I know that you're a lawyer, but there's no need for me in English to say it again. So I just say, dear Mr. Jones, dear Ms. Smith. Okay, I know you're a lawyer and it's fine. When you are writing to doctors, okay, doctors have a title. So doctors are doctors. So your general practitioner is a doctor. Surgeons, so the people who operate you, are not. They are Mr. Okay? So surgeons in England and in America are Mr. Doctors are doctors. It's very confusing, I know, but that's the way it is. Okay? Other people who have titles are the rector of a university, so the dean of a university, the prime minister, the queen, obviously. You wouldn't say dear Elizabeth. Okay, please don't say dear Elizabeth. Dear Liz. So people of, let's say, high military all have titles. Okay, general, lieutenant, colonel, all have titles. And obviously judges have a title. Okay, so judges have a title, lawyers don't have a title. Professors have a title, and professors we tend to talk about professors of university. Okay, have titles. Teachers in general do not have titles. We don't have titles, unfortunately. Yeah, that's everything. And then the Queen, the Prime Minister, what else did I say?
I'm trying to think what else you said.
Queen, Prime Minister, the President of the United States, obviously. Member of Parliament, no. Member of Parliament is Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Noble titles, so Duke, Lord, Earl, Countess, Princess, Prince, obviously have titles because they're part of the royal family like the Queen. Okay, now, on the following page we have an exercise about this. I'd like you to work in pairs. Work in pairs means talking together. Yes, you can work in three. Yeah, you can work in three. What we'd like you to do is look at the different people and decide which title you are going to give them. Okay?
From the student in Verona who asked a question, we will address your question shortly. Okay. Seem quite similar in Dutch and English, and the same as yesterday, weren't we?
Yes, because I had to learn to use my time, so I was never using it.
Yeah. No, I mean, as you said before, it's almost sarcastic. Dr. Elsa. Hello, yeah.
What is the need to... Here I had to learn, and now
Because they think it's like they're saying, look at me, yeah.
I found it very embarrassing. So if you don't know what you do, it's very clear, reassure, and make you very and maybe a client or a contraction.
Yeah.
Comma, Alison, dear Alison. So I use a double title. So I do the
Don't do that in English,
It
no.
started a few years ago, but now it's really weird. So I use the formal title and I use the personal. We don't do that now. No, it's
No, again, that's I would consider that almost sarcastic, like you said before. Having two names.
Yeah.
Aka, also known as.
Yeah.
Because it is a way of showing that we have a proper confidential relationship, but I respect as well your working title. So
Yeah.
This is a question from Verona, so for example, that's very important. A familiar client, you are on good terms with him. You can just say, dear Louise, dear Julia. Yeah. Yeah. And I just put a note there because that was the question from
Yeah.
Verona.
Okay, that's great.
Really need to do a lot of dealing with others. Very happy. Wait, what do you mean?
This one here.
That will address the question from Verona, just
Yeah.
by answering that, so we just refer to the fact that that was a question from Verona.
Yeah. No, I mean, but in the thing, do we have a writing formally, informally, the name of the person?
This is what this is.
Yeah, exactly. So that needs to.
No, I know, it's fine, I like this. It's, curious how many doubts there are about this.
Really.
But at least you have this written down now, this is correct, and you know, you can refer to it in the future.
I think that I will miss this.
Put it next to the
Put in
computer.
my table.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
It's impossible to remember if you don't
It's
write
hard to remember.
100 letters per day.
When we have to address to persons, various persons, both women and men. In Italy, which is allowed to refer to as sirs, signori, in
Same in
English.
yeah. Yes,
Not if it's a man and a woman though. She said if there was a man and a woman, you can't write dear sirs in English.
No, you don't
No,
have
no.
dear sirs, or if you don't
Dear
know
sir,
writing,
and
you do
madam.
dear sirs or madam.
I know, well because in Italian you have the male takes precedence. If you have a classroom with 300 women and one man, you use the male. In English, no. So you have to use both, so it becomes long. Yeah.
Okay, are we ready to check? Can see a lot of, as Louise said, there's a lot of doubts going on. It's not as easy as it looks. So let's just have a quick check. Deborah Slater. Yeah. Deborah Slater, she's a new client. You don't know if she is married. Dear Ms. Slater, Ms. M.S., Ms. Slater. B, Low and Steel solicitors. You don't know which solicitor is going to be dealing with this case. Dear Sir or Madam. Madam. Madame, no. You'd say Madam. Yeah, it's a capital M, yeah. So the original, yes, is French, but we've made it into English. For a plural, mesdames is where you would use the real French. But okay, C. I'm just going to stop on C because we had a question from Verona about this. So, Matthias Schmidt, a familiar client, you are on good terms with him, dear. Okay, dear Matthias. Now, he's still a client, okay, but he has given you, let's say, virtual permission to call him by his first name. When you first start the letter relationship, he would be dear Mr. Schmidt. Then when he replies to you, he will say, if he writes in the beginning bit for you, dear Louise, then you automatically know he has given you permission to call him by his first name. Okay? You always wait for your client or the other law firm to give you the virtual permission to call them by their first name. If they don't, you continue being formal. Okay?
I was in London for 2 weeks working in a very good, the first law firm in London dealing with immigration. So they every year they win any prize regarding that subject. And I was very surprised that they give advice to the clients and they just put Matthew. Not their Matthew, and then the advice, the written advice. It was an advice sent by email, but not just an email. It was a very formal advice, 3-4 pages. A formal advice to a client regarding immigration, but no matter the subject, and without any, just Matthew. I don't like it. No. But they do it, and maybe it's a new phase.
I wonder if that is simply them showing that they are boss of the situation. Simply, it's like a way of commanding. Matthew. I don't like it, and I don't think it's correct. Okay, because they're sort of. I'm sure they're formal, but. They sent you a dress code. So the colleague is saying that it was a very formal company. It's not following protocol.
Unless this is not the salutation, but it's a references. If I have a references for this position, probably with a short name with a number.
It sounds like this was the salutation, though, the greeting at the start of the letter. Yeah, it's not following protocol. Could be a new fashion. We will learn it if it is.
No, we won't. We like dear. We prefer dear. It just makes it a little bit neater as well, and also, as Louise said, less heavy when you're writing. It just starts the letter off well. Okay. D. Maria Gabbana, a lawyer in New York. Dear Ms. Gabbana. She's got 1B, yes, and 2 N's. Okay. You don't know if you're familiar with her or not. You don't know what the relationship is. You just know who you're writing to. E. Rebecca Wallace and Patrick Donahue, new clients, brother and sister. Okay, good. So Ms. Wallace and Mr. Donahue.
I'm writing Simpson.
Okay, Martin Barley, a doctor. Dear Dr. Barley, and it's DR. It's not doctor, the full word. Okay. G, RSGK Bank PLC, you want to write to their legal department. Dear? Okay. Dear Sir, Madam, or Madam? G. G. And also sirs, yeah. But here, if you know that there are no women in the bank, you don't know that. So to not cause any political upheaval, because there is enough in the world at the moment, let's be politically correct and write dear sir or madam.
Because if you turn it around, if you refer to them as dear madame, assuming that there are no men.
Exactly, it's exactly.
She will be offended.
Exactly, as the colleague said, it's actually vice versa as well. If you write dear mesdames, then you automatically assume that there are no men in the office, and it might be an office full of men and one woman. So you don't know. H, the tool hire company. You want to write to its managing director, dear sir or madam. I, Jeremy and Patricia Simpson, new clients, they are a married couple. Dear? Yes. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Simpson. First the man, then the woman. Not happy about this, but... Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't sound right. It does for us. Dear Mrs. and Mr. just doesn't sound right. It's wrong. It's politically incorrect, I think. So it's always Mr. and Mrs. There used to be a program on English television called Mr. and Mrs. Awful program. Sorry, terrible, awful, because you had to try the married couple had to answer questions about their partner. You know, like absolutely everything. So, and if you got it wrong, not good, not good. Sorry, right, I'm just digressing there. J. Bella Robson. You know she is married and she uses her married name. Dear Mrs. Robson. And the last one, K. Owner of Links Limited. You know it's a woman, but you don't know anything else about her. Dear Madam. Yeah, you've got no other information about her. Okay, do we have any questions? Do you want me to repeat anything? No? Okay, so that's the beginning of the letter done. Now let's look at the end of the letter. You've cancelled my yours faithfully and yours sincerely.
I'll write it again.
Okay, we're going to do yours faithfully and yours sincerely now. And Louise is just writing on the board because I want to explain something here. Okay, both very formal. Okay, both very, very formal. I'm going to say there's no difference in their formality here with yours faithfully and yours sincerely. But do you know the reason why we use one instead of another? Oh, no. No, it's not. There's no difference in the formality. That's the correct answer, but there is also another answer. Well, you obviously always hope that somebody's going to reply. Okay. So,
I think Julia's actually asking why. Okay, you're answering correctly, as in when we use them. She knows why, and I didn't. I didn't know why.
For a very, very stupid reason. Sometimes English can be extremely stupid. Okay, this is going to be one of these cases. Oh no, sorry, I've got to say it. Sorry, I've got to say it as well. Right, okay. Can you write on the board, dear sir, or, sorry, dear sir, no, yeah, under here, sorry. Dear sir, or madam, and dear Mr. Smith. Okay. Dear Sir or Madam, oh gosh, that was horrible, goes here. Dear Mr. Smith goes here. Why? They're both formal. The reason is, this is so stupid, I'm really sorry about this. The reason is, too many S's. Dear Sir or Madam, yours sincerely for the English language, just too many S's. And that's the reason. That is the reason. I'm sorry. I apologize on behalf of the English language, but the reason is too many S's becomes a little bit of a mouthful to say and to write, so it's Dear Sir or Madam, yours faithfully. Dear Mr. Smith, yours sincerely. But the formality, even if you have Mr. Smith, obviously, but the formality is the same. These are both formal ways of ending a letter. Okay? Obviously, when you know the name of the person, you're not going to say yours sincere. Well, I don't know. Occasionally, I have seen it. Occasionally, on very, very rare occasions, it has been seen. In general, the rule is, Dear Sir, Madam, yours faithfully. Dear Mr. or Mrs., etc., yours sincerely. Okay? Sorry. I apologize. Years and years of English grammar. But
If I know the name
Mhm.
of the person that I'm writing to, and I put yours faithfully, is a mistake or is something that I can decide on?
yeah, it's a mistake. Yeah.
It's not a serious mistake. They're not going to change lawyer because you made this mistake. But following protocol, yeah, it's a mistake.
Remember that when you're writing a letter, your letter, for example, letter of an engagement, okay, it's the first thing that the lawyer will see. And they want to know, especially if they are an English-speaking law firm, that you are able to write in English and write correct English. Now, as you said, is it a mistake? Yes, it is. It's a grammatical mistake. And these are things, unfortunately, that people pick up on. Us, obviously, more than most people. But think about the person you're writing to. You're trying to get the letter of engagement. You're trying to get the work from this company. They read your letter. They see some mistakes. They see mistakes where the date is. You haven't put in the recipient's details. You haven't put in a subject line. You've used the wrong beginning, the wrong end of a letter. Little things like that are very, very important that you get them correct.
You will find British lawyers who don't follow the protocol too. You'll find British lawyers who don't even know the protocol, particularly younger lawyers. Again, because as we said, with the use of email, letter writing slowly is disappearing. You may find these people who are getting it wrong, even though they're British or American. You make your bella figura by doing it correctly.
Quite right, bella figura. Right, okay, now we'd like you to do the exercise underneath. So quickly read through the complementary close, okay? As the colleague said before, he's going to print it out and stick it next to his computer. I would do the same thing. So the complementary close and the salutations before, just print this little page out. Stick it next to your computer so you know exactly how to start and end an email. Very important. So just read through it, and exercise 1, again in pairs, read through the people, okay, and decide, are you going to use yours sincerely or yours faithfully? I. A to I. Okay, are we ready to check? Yeah? Right, okay. My lovely Valletta today is going to be putting the S or the F next to the letter. Okay, so, for example, A, dear Ms. Slater, yours? Sincerely. 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 B, dear sir or madam, yours? Faithfully. Dear Matthias, yours? Sincerely. Dear Ms. Gabbana, yours? Sincerely. Dear sir, yours? Faithfully. Dear sirs, yours? Faithfully. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, yours? Sincerely. Dear Judge Bardley, yours? Sincerely. And dear Madam, yours? Faithfully. Excellent. Excellent. Well done. Okay, any questions about the salutations and closings? We all happy? Oh, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. The T-shirt says Saturday. Yes.
There was just one quick question, just in case anybody else had the same doubt, always with a double L. Okay. The adjective is faithful with one L. The adverb has a double.
Little grammar point there. Okay, it's absolutely perfect. Right, now we're going to be looking at references and subject lines, because as we saw with the beginnings of our letter templates, we had subject lines, etc. So, the difference between references and subject line. Okay, I'm just going to quickly read through this, okay, and then if you have any questions, obviously, please ask. So, what's a reference? Most law firms include a reference on their letter so that they can quickly and easily identify the lawyer dealing with that particular matter and the corresponding file. For example, Riccardo Callini may use his initials and a number to identify his files like this, RC112 or RC113. In correspondence with other lawyers, he will include his reference like this, my reference RC112. They will usually appear under the date block in the letter. If you receive a letter from a lawyer which states a reference, you must remember to use this on your reply. You can also include your own reference. Let's say that Francesca Sanita is replying to Riccardo. The reference on her letter might look like this. Your reference RC112, my reference FS3.4R. Gets a little bit complicated, but got to be done. Yeah, we have. Okay. Okay, well, yeah, I'm going to do that in a... The regards I'm going to do in a minute, yeah.
Can I write it on the board now, just so they know I'm talking about?
Yeah, okay. And the subject line, okay. So, for example, let's have a look. What is a subject line? Well, a subject line, it's like a heading to a letter, okay? It's a little bit different from a reference number because in the subject line, you're giving a little bit more information, perhaps the date of a case or the name and address of somebody, just a little bit more information. Do I have to include a subject line? Yes, you do. The modern style of writing always includes a subject line. For the very simple reason, if you are writing to a lawyer, this lawyer or law firm will receive 100, let's say 100 letters, emails a day. They need to know exactly, it's the first thing they see when they open it, they want to know why you are writing. And your subject line is the most important thing. So they know, okay, subject line, case number 1234, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. They can go to their files and get the case file 12345, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. why do I have to include a subject line? Well, that's what I've just said. The purpose of the subject line is that when the recipient picks up the letter, he or she will immediately know what the letter is about. And where does it go? The subject line can go, it's cancelled the photocopying. The subject line can go either where the salutation is at the beginning, or, where we said before, salutation, subject line, salutation. There's no difference. In general, I personally like to start the letter with "Dear Mr. Jones," and then I write the subject line. But that's just me, okay? And I think it looks a little bit neater. So, okay, yeah, I'm just going to address this regards and best wishes. Because I'm going to say probably, if I look at most of you, you're all going to say, yeah, we use best wishes or kind regards in any occasion. No. You're not going to, okay? Best wishes or kind regards, etc. First of all, there's no difference between them. Okay, so kind regards or best wishes or kind wishes, there's no difference. However, I'm going to say it's a semi-formal way of ending. Therefore, you use it when you are writing to colleagues who you have a good relationship with. Okay? You use it when you're writing to internal colleagues as well in your office. You can use it. Obviously, you are not going to use it in formal situations, okay? So when it's "Dear Sir, Madam," no kind regards or best wishes, okay? It's very important that it is used in the right context. And as I said, there is absolutely no difference between them. So, "Dear Matthias," you would end it with "kind regards, best wishes." Okay? No. Yeah. Okay, we've just had another question. Yeah, but it's not. Okay, so kindest regards, no. It's a little bit too much. It sounds as though you're being a bit groveling, like you're trying to be just too nice. Okay, it's just too much. Respectfully, again, I wouldn't, no. Again, it sounds too much. Okay? So I'm going to say no to kindest regards and no to respectfully.
I'm going to add, none of these are tragic mistakes. Okay, if you've been doing this for several years and finishing your letters with "respectfully, avvocato," or whatever, it's not the end of the world. We're just showing you how it should be simply today, and stick to these. Okay.
If I write yours faithfully or yours sincerely, I shouldn't use kind regards.
No. Okay, so the colleague just asked if he writes "yours sincerely" or "yours faithfully," does he, he shouldn't use "kind regards," etc. No, it's one or the other. Okay, so if you're ending your letter with "yours faithfully," that's it, don't add anything. If you're ending your letter with "kind regards," that's it, don't put anything. Okay, are there any other doubts or questions about? Okay, now email writing is slightly different. This unit doesn't really concentrate that much on email. I just will briefly mention emails are a little bit different in that they are slightly less formal. Okay, the salutations stay the same. The closings stay the same, but your email is brief. Okay, remember that when you are writing an email, you should have probably a maximum of 3/4 short paragraphs. Okay, because nowadays people tend to receive more emails than they do letters. So if you're receiving 100 emails a day, you want to open it quickly, see what the person is writing about. So obviously it's got to include a reference number or a subject line. Okay? And you do that obviously automatically when you open the email. You want to pick out the information that is vital and important, and then that's it. If you need to add anything else to your email, then you send it in an attachment. So you see, please see attached file regarding reference, and you add in. Do not put it all in the opening email. But the formality stays the same.
I will just add, though, that an email exchange is a lot faster, isn't it? A letter, we're talking days, possibly more. Email, you can exchange 17 emails with a colleague. In that situation, your formality will be getting less as you grow accustomed to this colleague. So your emails will probably become slightly more informal. Even in a day, if you have 17 emails between you, you will perhaps stop at that point writing yours sincerely, yours faithfully, and finish with kind regards or best wishes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she's absolutely right. Okay, are there any other questions? No? Okay, let's just quickly go back to the subject line and reference. So, on the other page, we have a very, very quick exercise to do. We have 3 beginnings of letters. Okay, I want you to match A, B, C to the letter. Okay, so whether it's a subject line or a reference.
Following this very short exercise, we'll have a quick break. I'm saying this also for the colleagues in the other cities who were asking this question.
Okay, let's just quickly check. So, letter 1 is... Okay, good. B, yes, very good. Letter 2? Good, C. So, letter 3? Yay, very good. Okay, we are going to have a 10-minute break now, okay? And then we will come back and continue. Thank you.
Infantile. Extremely. Yeah, the first time I met him, they were out on roller skates.
Are they online? So I can start. Okay, because I'm going to just explain something. Okay. Are we ready?
We're not going to get through this stuff today.
Well, we'll try. I just want to go back to the beginning of the letter. I forgot to mention something quite important. Well, I think it's quite important. I've written 3 things on the board, 3 beginnings. So, dear John Smith, dear J. Smith, dear Mr. John Smith. Okay. Does anybody think these are correct? Would anybody start a letter with any of these? I don't know, you tell me. Do you think they're wrong, or do you think any of them are right? Okay, so dear J. Smith is awful. Okay, so you can't use the name if you put Mr. Okay, so the first one is wrong because you don't use the name and surname. And the middle one? Yeah, okay. These 3 are wrong. Okay? So, when you are writing the beginning of your letter, it's either dear Mr. or Ms., etc., and the surname. Do you want to write it on the board for me? So, dear, sorry, my valletta today. Dear Mr., Ms., and the surname, or dear and the first name. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Okay, so these 3 are all wrong. Okay, they're awful, they're grammatically incorrect, and we just don't use them. Okay? Okay. Now, okay, do you have any questions? Are there any questions about this? No? Other cities, are you all happy about this? Do you have any questions? No? Oh, I can't remember which cities they are, so I apologise, sorry. I have a little touch of Alzheimer going on. Okay, now back to our module, and we're going to do one of my favourite exercises, and you're not going to like it.
Students hate this. And Julia loves it. I shall take the middle road.
Okay, now this is a great exercise to do. This is a letter, but it is in the wrong order. So, I want you to read the letter. If you want to work in pairs, please do. That's absolutely fine. And I think it's probably a good idea to do it in pairs. Work in pairs. Read the letter. Put it into the correct order. Thinking about the letterhead, so etc., what we did right at the very beginning. The salutations. Where does the date go? Where does the complementary clause go? Subject line or reference. Okay? Read the letter. Put it into the correct order. Okay?
on here, so. Daniela Pinto, no? No. So I'll pass you this to sign in a moment.
Pinto arriva sempre in ritardo.
Very in ritardo.
It's a joke.
Is it? I don't understand it.
Because the Pinto law is that one connected with the length of the Italian trials. So you can be reimbursed because the trial was too long, and we call it legge Pinto. So Pinto comes very late.
Okay. And your case exceeds a number of years. You get reimbursed by the state.
Okay.
I have never seen that happen.
It happens.
Well, I've never.
So I don't write them here. Okay. Okay, not.
The very beginning of the law.
So probably only have Barbara Bonafini. Okay. Yes, I have visual memory. She's in mid on that. Okay, I wonder if she's following.
Then the Italian state realized that a lot of money is paid. So, some years after, they modified
Okay, so Maria Gertrude is nothing, not correct at all. I've changed the name on it.
now you can ask for damages.
I know how to apply it very easily.
Mariangela,
Several
Mariangela is two names.
Here?
Yes.
There's one word here.
Mariangela is two names, one word.
Here it's one word,
Mariangela,
yeah.
yeah, it's one word.
every
Mariangela, very assonant. She should be an actress or a singer.
It was Tuscanized.
Ah,
Venice is Marangoni. But they put another
do excuse me, lawyer Nick.
Yes.
Your name is not Maria Gertrude, so we don't know why that's there.
No. In the Netherlands, it's very strange. They do your name, registered name, and then you have a given name.
Okay.
So this is my registered name, but my given name is Annemieke.
Nick is the official one.
No, Maria Gertrude is the official one, but that's the one
Ah,
I go
okay.
by. Yeah, it's a weird Dutch.
Okay, so I'll leave that as correct.
Yeah, because if not, but you know, here I thought
So that's what we
I'm
would actually
presenting
call you.
myself as Annemieke,
Okay.
but I'm registered as Maria.
Okay.
All the Dutch have like 3, 4, 5 names. It's a weird thing.
You messed up my register.
No, I changed things, so she said that was wrong. But then she said it was right, actually. But she said that's right, that's what we call it. But I'll do a fresh register completely. And she is following either maybe that's not part.
Like your own.
I don't know, but our colleague said that his because you've got C1 nearly distinction by 1 point, and then country is country go away,
e poi dopo dice this amount vuol dire un amount di cui abbiamo parlato.
Oh, I get it wrong. She pronounces it wrong. You have a question? Thank you. From yeah, no, they have to cancel all our other lessons.
Okay, are we ready? Okay. Little bit difficult? Confusing, maybe? Right. Okay. Do you want to write the numbers?
Yeah.
You're such a ballerina today.
I'm very good at being a ballet.
You are, aren't you?
For my gold bikini.
With your gold stilettos. Okay. Let's have a look. So, let's see. Trying to work out how to do this. What should we do? How should we do this?
Do it in number order.
In number order.
First thing.
Okay, so the numbers are numbers 1 to 12, obviously, that you're going to put next to the letters. It's probably easier. So, number 1, what letter do you have for me? Good. B. Yes, B. Very good. 27 Lime Tree Avenue. B is number 1. Number 2. Yeah, I would say F. I would say the date. Yeah, the date. Number 3. J. Good. J. Yes. So the recipients. No. Number 1. No. Number 1 is the address of who is writing.
I put the address, the sender and the recipients on the top of the letter. So I put
Yeah, I mean, well, because the date and the recipient are actually next to each other, but the date is always on the right-hand side. Have I made a mistake? No. Because they haven't put the name on here. There should be the name. Yeah, yeah. It's because they didn't put it on. B and C. No. C is the what do you call it? Is the timbro. Is the They haven't put it on the exercise. There should be there should be the name of the person as well, but they haven't put it on. It's a mistake in the book that they haven't. So yeah, with the date, remember the date always goes on the right-hand side. Okay. Okay, let's, number 4. Good, H, good. Number 5, good, L. Number 6, D, good. Number 7, A, good. Number 8, good, G. Number 9, good, I. Number 10, E, good. Number 11, right. Let me see in the. No, that's. What do you mean? No.
Which one is the signature and which one is the print block?
That is the print. This
open
is
to
the print.
interpretation.
No, that's the printed. That's the. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because in my opinion, a print box must be with the full name. So C should be not.
It's a bit dubious. This. It's. I'm going to accept either one in either place. It's a bit ambiguous. Normally in letters you would have your proper signature, and then underneath you would have the printed signature block. So yeah.
Yes, I think she's right that 11 is the signature because it's G.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, now it's you.
Oh, is it? What are you doing now?
Professional.
Ooh. Moving on to what I said at the very start of the lesson, we'll be looking at the differences between modern professional writing or archaic writing or too informal. And you have... We're going to ask you to do this before, and then we'll check and explain any problems after. Okay, so what you have are A, B, C, D, and E. 3 phrases saying the same thing, but one is the correct form for a legal letter. Okay, one will be too formal, one will be too informal, one will be perfect. Okay, so before we explain, could you just have a quick look, please, and see which one you think is the correct form to use in a letter. All right.
So yeah, the plain legal English form.
Some of them will be quite clear immediately. sit down, I think. You look like you're ready. Can you see me if I'm sitting down? Yeah, sorry. Old lady back. Okay, so one of the following three is correct. I act for Frank Edmonds. I'm working for Frank Edmonds. I've been appointed to represent Mr. Frank Edmonds. Which do you think is the correct form first? 1, 2, or 3? You think 3? You think 1? Okay, so we have a direct mix between 1 and 3. Well, for a start, Julia just said to you that Mr. Frank Edmonds would not be correct anyway. It would be Mr. Edmonds or Frank. But it's also a little too formal, okay? The correct form for a legal letter is 1. I act for Frank Edmonds, okay? I'm working for Frank Edmonds. It's just too informal, okay? We don't know what type of work. It could be anything with that phrase, so it's wrong. And the third one, yeah, Mr. Frank Edmonds is wrong anyway. So that should have immediately alerted you to the J. Smith on the board previously. Did they listen to you, Julia?
Not listen.
But is I have been appointed to represent two formal or
It's too much information. We don't care who has appointed you. You're acting for, simply. Mm-hmm.
not short and not simple?
No. Sir. That's Julia's bear. Okay. B. Right, I'm writing to ask you about the cost of your accountancy services. The purpose of this letter is to make inquiries about the level of the fees that you charge pertaining to accountancy services rendered. I'm writing to inquire about your fees in respect of accountancy services. 1's perfect. Right, it seems to be, in fact, that you're mainly dividing between 2 answers, where 1 is clearly wrong, the other 2 debatable. Okay. I'm writing to ask you about the cost is too informal again. Yeah. While number 2 is much too formal, pertaining to services rendered. I mean, this is difficult English. I don't really understand what they're trying to say. It's too much. The third one is perfect. Inquire is a slightly more formal word instead of ask, yeah. Okay, sounds a little more professional. Okay, so 3 is the best of the 3. Okay. C. Please provide me with the following documents. Kindly furnish me with the following documents. Can you send these documents? Which one is correct? 1 is correct, and I think that was quite clear, wasn't it? I mean, again, vocabulary-wise, furnish, too much. Okay, it's totally unnecessary. Can you send these documents? Okay, it's direct, it's to the point, but it's rude. Okay, it's like using an imperative. Send me these documents. Okay, if you had to use that form, maybe, could you please send these documents? Make it sound a little more polite. Okay. D. Regarding your letter written on the 15th of November that's setting out accusations about my client. 2. With reference to your communication of 15th inst, which pertains... I think it's a printing error, is it? 15 inst.
Instance, maybe.
15... I personally think it's a mistake, which pertains to alleged activities by my client. 3, I refer to your letter of 15th November, which contains various allegations against my client. 3 is the perfect one, yeah. Second one, again, using words like pertains, you're alienating even a lot of British people who won't even know that word. Okay, and 1, I think the phrasal verb again in 1, setting out accusations, it's too informal. Okay, and moving on to E. I await hearing from you with all expedition. Please contact me as soon as possible. Can you call me, please? The second one is clearly the correct one. My notes next to number 1, I've written, ew, only. Number 1 is just horrible. As up? at your earliest convenience. You could use either. So the colleague asked at your earliest convenience. It's okay. Okay, but because as soon as possible is perfectly clear in business English, in legal English, in simple English, in all types of English, it's fine. ASAP.
Yeah. So I'm just going to open up a little thing about abbreviations. So you don't use abbreviations when you are writing letters, okay? Again, okay, there's a fine line with letters and emails. With letters, we don't use abbreviations for the very, very simple reason not everybody understands abbreviations, okay? Always, always think about who you are writing to, okay? So not everybody can understand what ASAP means. So abbreviations are not used when you are writing letters, nor are contractions of verbs used, okay? So instead of saying I'm, I am, don't, do not, okay? Very, very simple things like that. You're trying to make your language as clear as possible. Always keep in mind who you are writing to, who is going to be reading your letter, okay? So abbreviations, we don't use them. Abbreviations, you only use them in text messages, on your WhatsApp chat, on your Instagram chat, or whatever else you're chatting to, or SMS. They are the only reasons that you use abbreviations, and you use them only with colleagues who you have a very good relationship with, or your friends. You do not use abbreviations when you are writing to clients or other law firms.
Although I do feel that the next generation of lawyers will be using far more abbreviations, because the next generation of lawyers have been brought up using WhatsApp. They'll be receiving legal letters with emojis. Okay, and the last one, can you call me please, is quite clearly, again, it's too rude, it's too direct. Okay, you can say that across the studio to a colleague, but otherwise no. Okay. Right, we start to get slightly more complicated as we go on. In fact, I'm hoping we'll be able to finish, but there is a lot to cover still. Okay, we're moving on to a letter. A pretty disastrous letter in reality, because it is totally mixed with the styles. So you'll have parts that are too informal, parts that are too formal. Okay. Again, as usual, we feel it's better for you to work on it first, because you're thinking about it a little more rather than us simply dictating the answers. So I'm going to ask you again with a partner to look at the underlined parts of the letter and change it with the words on the right. So, for example, there is an asterisk. You told me to write for you. I wrote on your behalf. Okay? So you're trying to change what is in the original letter and is wrong with something that is much more suitable on the right. Okay, and we will then check it together. Is that clear? Yeah? Okay.
Letter C of the previous exercise to them.
Letter C, yes. Letter C.
Read it.
For our colleagues in the other city, probably I wasn't very clear with C in the last exercise. The correct answer is, please provide me with the following documents. 1. 2 is the wrong vocabulary. It's too formal. 3 is too rude and too direct. Okay, if you're ready, if you haven't quite finished, you can finish as we're doing it together. Okay? I think they're probably quite clear, and I think that at your level of English reading this, they should be glaringly obvious that the styles are wrong in these phrases. No? Not for everybody. Okay, so we had the example, I have now received a response from Total Kitchens to the letter that I wrote on your behalf. Okay, you told me to write for you. Okay, that's already suggesting that he has no power. You told me. Okay. I'm afraid that the manager of the company has denied your allegation that they have breached their contract with you. Okay, broken their promise. Again, what promise? We're talking legal English here. We need a contract, and we don't say break a contract in legal English, we say breach a contract. Under the circumstances, I suggest that we start a case in the court. I suggest that we take legal action. Why not? It's much clearer. Action, yes. For the people in the other cities yesterday, we focused on pronunciation as well. I don't know if you were following. Yeah, not action, action. Okay. Okay, in order to claim damages, okay? Ask for some money, give me some money. Claim damages. Having looked at the evidence that you have given me, I deem that the court will concur with you. I consider, okay, so deem is an archaic synonym of consider. That the court will concur with you. Concur, again, archaic, too formal. Agree. Okay, so consider that the court will agree and find in your favour. I must tell you that, according to current civil procedure rules, we've got to. We must. Again, we've got to wouldn't... It's spoken English, why not? It's similar to we have to. But an American wouldn't use it. Okay? Got is very British. Okay, so we must send, so remove the to as well, not we must to send, but we must send Total Kitchens what is known as a letter before action, before we actually begin any legal proceedings. This letter gives them one final chance to acknowledge your claim and make us an offer to settle the matter. If they do not avail themselves of this opportunity to act in this way, if they fail to respond, how much easier is that? Then we are able to proceed with our claim. kindly furnish me with your confirmation. We saw previously, furnish is not the correct verb to use. So it should be, please confirm your instructions that I should send this letter before action. Please do not hesitate to contact me. Okay. Again, ring is to inform or to ring me or to visit me. I think you're inviting them too much. Okay, yeah, they'd be coming for tea and cake if you invite them to visit you. Yeah, contact me. Then they can choose email, letter, phone. Okay.
And me? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Concur would be okay in legalese, just because I think that's something the style of judgment, right? Concurring opinion, dissenting opinion. So I thought it would be the case that concur would be okay.
Again, depends who you're writing to. It's a correct word. Of course it is. I just think it's too formal, and you will, again, this is what I said earlier as well, as time goes by, younger lawyers will never be using words like concur. Old-fashioned lawyers may still be using words like concur, but we just think that it's easier to always use a word that we know that is internationally recognizable, simply for this reason.
Okay, any other questions about this? No? Okay, now, this is a good one. You're going to like this one. Right, let's move on to the next exercise. I know, I have a wicked teacher smile when I say this. Okay, exercise 4 and 5. So exercises 4 and 5. It's up to you now. So in exercise 4, we have some sentences which have been written by a lawyer. The underlined word or phrase in each sentence is too old-fashioned. So, you, working with a partner, are going to think of another alternative. Okay? And in exercise 5, underneath, in this case, it's too informal. So the underlined words are too informal. You are going to think of another alternative. Okay, so the first exercise, it's too old-fashioned. Make it a little bit, make it more formal, more modern. In the second exercise, it's too informal, so you're making it more formal, but not too old-fashioned. Okay?
There's not always only one possibility. There will be a best possibility.
want to put?
I was trying to think. I would almost say the request that you tell us without this really.
Yeah.
Indoors necessarily, and then these open
It's a difficult one.
collocation to learn like that.
Which means to give up, but it's
You don't have an idea? We'll give you some ideas after. Some alternatives? Did you find some alternatives?
Any alternative? Okay, so.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Not because it's you, but I think a lot of people have
Sometimes
these
it
doubts.
sounds, they actually sound okay, so you think, why should I change it? It's just the style, it's learning to be more, you know,
And I think
make it easier for other people to understand, you know.
sometimes the very long phrases are actually directly translatable into Italian and sound great for you and horrible for us. There could be more than one alternative. We'll give you what we consider to be the best alternative, which we deem to be the best.
We deem to be the best alternative. reading though, so I think. I definitely don't. As we get towards the end and we realise we don't have a lot of time, this is absolutely.
Well, we can tell them to read
Yeah.
that at home though.
Yeah,
Rather
yeah.
than going through it, it's not
yeah,
necessary
okay,
to go through it, it's
okay.
all clear. It's
Yeah,
self-explanatory.
that's true. Yeah.
So we've added at the back of the folder the checklist for
Go through it. Ready?
Can we go through some possible answers? What Julia and I will give you is what we deem, what we consider to be the most suitable change. Okay, so A, again, you've just said it. We deem that you are not acting. We consider. Okay. The meaning is we think, but think is too informal, deem is too formal, consider is perfect. Okay. Oh, hereinbefore, right, in legal English there are a substantial number of these hereunder, herein, hereat, hereby, therefore, etc. There are a lot of them. They're not always necessary. And we believe they are slowly disappearing, in fact. So the parties named hereinbefore agree as follows. Above, probably, because, yeah, below is a bit strange to talk about something before you get to it. So above or earlier or previously. Yeah. The parties named before. No. No. It's a little too vague. Before when?
Earlier, before, previously.
Yeah. No, earlier, above.
Sorry, earlier, above. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry about above. Sorry.
And previously.
Right.
Colleagues in the other city, you should be able to read the answers on the blackboard. These are which we consider to be the best answers. Okay. We deem. I'm writing pertaining to your letter. I'm writing. Right, we prefer regarding or concerning. Yeah. Referring to. Referring to would be acceptable. With reference to would be acceptable. I like it a little less, yeah. Okay. But the most typical would be concerning and regarding. We respectfully request that you telephone us. D, we? You could say kindly telephone us, please telephone us, but I think, yeah, we ask that you telephone us. We invite you. What do you think? We invite you to telephone us? No, we're not. We do want you to. Invitation is perhaps they can refuse. Okay, so you could simply just remove respectfully and say we request that you telephone us. Okay. I would be pleased, but I would be pleased if you telephone us. Again, that's like an invitation. Okay, so it's not quite as clear as we'd like. We request alone is okay, really, it's okay. But and the best solution is we ask that. Why complicate our lives? We ask that you telephone us. It's a... No, we don't like it, but it's grammatically correct, yeah. Without please? Please is not necessary in this case. You're asking, you're not demanding. I received a letter from the solicitors acting for the vendees. A more simple word for that? The buyers, yeah. We were asked if purchasers is correct. It's correct. I don't like it. It's correct.
You don't like it.
Perhaps if you have repeated the word buyer 300 times, then yeah, and you want a synonym, use a synonym. Okay, and please contact me with all due haste as soon as possible. Okay? No other alternative there. As soon as possible is the one we like. Okay, and then going from informal to more formal. You have a question? Okay.
Me? Yeah. Okay.
What do you have to do? Press harder?
Press harder.
Yeah. Okay, my client says that this point is true. My client confirms this. Yeah, confirms this. It's perfectly sufficient. B, you need one of these collocations that are omnipresent in legal English. So, yeah, you remembered it. So, in your letter of 10th of December, you waived your rights. Gave up is too informal, okay? The correct collocation with rights is waive. Don't forget to put the I in the word waive, otherwise it's very different. Waive is this. Just checking Julia spelt it correctly. The same with C. You've seen the word already today. So your actions amount to an unequivocal breach of contract. Again, break is understandable, but it's not the correct collocation in legal English. D, you haven't paid any money. It's a bit aggressive, isn't it? You have failed to? Again, to pay, I think, I would use something different. I would say payments, yeah. So you have failed to make the payments. Also because you're talking about a regular payment. Failed to make the payments. Sorry? You haven't proceeded with any payment. What do you think? What do you think of that? I think it's going too far. I mean,
but you always fail to make payments together.
Yeah, you haven't proceeded to make any payment. It's correct, but again, I just think it's too much, too flowery. Yeah, and somebody else was asking.
Can we use
With the preposition in? In this case, it's much better with the infinitive form, with failed to make. Yeah. E, the total sum due to people that you owe money to. One word. The people you owe money to? Creditors. Your creditors. They are the people you owe money to. And finally, fully to blame, the legal word, fully liable. 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 Yeah, responsible is not the legal terminology.
Sorry? Guilty. Oh, God.
Yeah. Liable. Okay, there are alternatives, but the correct legal term is liable. Purely and simply. Okay. Over to JJ. Do you want to?
Okay. Have a look. You alright? Hey?
This is just reading through. We'll just read through the next part together.
Okay, so the next exercise, as Louise said, we're just going to read with you, and then you'll do an exercise on this. So, okay, so it says typical sentences in legal letters. The following phrases are useful when you are writing a letter on behalf of your client. You should try to memorize them.
Okay, or in your case, stick it next to the
Or,
computer.
yeah, photocopy this and stick it next to your computer or wherever you write letters, etc. So, opening lines, okay? So, for example, we are instructed by Joseph Adams and understand that you act for Elliot Fletcher. Thank you for your letter of 7th July. We confirm that we act for Elliot Fletcher. I act on behalf of. I refer to your letter dated 16th August. All good opening lines. Explain why you are writing. I'm instructed that. We have seen your letter of 14th September to our client. I am writing to. We will take our client's instructions and will contact you again soon. Explain what you want the recipient to do. Please sign the enclosed agreement in the place marked with a cross and return it to me by the 21st of June. We would be grateful if you take your client's instructions as soon as possible. And referring to future contact. If I do not hear from you within 14 days of this letter, I am instructed to start legal proceedings immediately. I look forward to hearing from you as soon as possible. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Okay, so all very good phrases to use in different circumstances with different types of letters, obviously. So think about why you're writing, who you're writing to, and use the appropriate sentence. So on the next page, we have an exercise. We have a letter, okay, and it's missing some sentences. So using sentences from what I have just read, I want you to put a sentence in each space. Okay, read carefully the letter, try and understand the type of thing that it's asking. Okay?
Yeah, police and ambulances for Fiorentina Juventus.
This evening in Florence.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
In fact, anybody who's parked near the stadium, we already have one colleague who's leaving earlier. Yeah.
My God. Get your car. Helicopters.
I worry about that as well, yeah.
Worry about the match or worry about
I'm worried about the match. I'm worried about the match.
I'm more worried about my parking.
I'm also worried about leaving here at 1:30 and getting the bus and trying to get home, but God, black and white. Wrong trousers to wear today.
Nothing yet. Yeah.
I will just say, after this exercise, we'll have another short break. Okay, so for our colleagues in the other cities, we'll be having a break after this exercise.
sent it back?
I think there is no one of these two.
Okay, let me grab our letter.
I think that should be one of them, but I think that
Neither of them feel correct to you.
No, no. Ah, ok. Allora si va di
Which one? D?
D.
D.
D is. Ah.
Yeah.
there is no one of the
ha
explained.
detto che non include.
Ah, okay.
No, sbagliatissimo. E poi io ci ho messo
If you find something better, use something better. We read the letter using these ones. If you prefer something else, do that. It's quite difficult to do this, actually.
It's just a polite way of ending. You've been quite direct. You're still being super polite. So, yeah. Yeah, there's an alternative to I'm instructed. I am in. Yes, I'm instructed.
The difference being that I'm instructed that it's passive.
Yeah.
Whereas these note that, yeah. If you're sure and if nobody's instructing you. Okay. I can see that you're a lawyer. Lawyers will argue about anything.
And everything.
My daughter recently asked me, she's a middle teenager, so 15 years old, she said, does a lawyer get to argue every day for money? She said, ooh, sounds good. She would be good.
Yeah. You want to read it? Okay, I think we'll check this together and then send you off on a little coffee and cigarette break. Okay, so dear Mr. Denby, letter before action. A. Yeah, okay, so I act on behalf of Deborah Hastings and am writing in connection with the building contract that you entered into with my client on the 14th of March, etc. B. Okay,
No, can we mention that man's
Yeah, okay, so I am instructed that, or as a colleague here said, please note that is also acceptable. Okay, so
He says he has no doubt.
yeah, because there's no doubts about it, so please note that, or I am instructed that. The following contractual obligations remain outstanding, blah, 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 blah. C. Good. I am writing to notify you that you must take immediate action to remedy these matters. D. Okay. Okay. If I do not hear from you within 14 days, etc., 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 I'm instructed to start legal proceedings immediately. E. Yeah. I look forward to hearing from you as soon as possible. Now, it seems a little bit strange to be in the previous sentence quite direct, quite abrupt, and quite harsh, and then after go, but I look forward to hearing from you. It's polite. It's what we do, okay? No matter how direct and abrupt and, you know, yeah, direct and abrupt your letter is, you're still being polite in any circumstance. So that's very, very important, okay?
I feel this may be a very British thing. I mean, I'm sure I'll be speaking on behalf of Julia here. A British person will stand on another person's foot and apologise for it.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's it's innate. Okay, if we've been direct, then we have to soften the blow a little. It's part of the British character.
Okay, any questions? Right, so give you a 10-minute break. Okay.
the certificate. So I got the picture with the ambassador. She's so nice.
The one from now, Julia.
It was the 100. It was 2017 because it was the 100 December. Era il centenario. Che per fare una cosa chiamare l'ambasciatore di quotazione. E hanno fatto ogni cosa un evento.
Okay, there are a couple of pages in your booklet which are just simply a good reference. For example, the final page we won't be going through with you, but it is a good reference for you to have. I will read through this letter writing clinic, okay, just giving you the main points to think about when you're writing a letter. The grammatical part, actually, we will be looking at after. Okay, so little things to check when you're writing. Okay, so these are, and this is confirmed, the 10 most common problems when a non-native speaker of English writes a letter in English. Okay. A lot of the mistakes are common to all the nationalities, not just Italian. Okay. So, how can you improve a letter? Ask yourself if the parts of the letter are 1, too informal. We've been through this already. I don't think we need to repeat it. Okay, it must be professional. Okay, an email can be more informal, but this is not acceptable in a letter. 2, is it too old-fashioned? Okay, a letter should be formal. But this does not mean using language that is out of date. For example, flowery phrases, Shakespearean phrases. Okay. Too abrupt. Some languages are a lot more direct than English in certain circumstances. Now, what we said yesterday is that Italian, for example, uses very long phrases where you can't remember the subject because you've covered an entire page before the phrase ends. But also, I think in a lot of languages, including Italian, you can comfortably give a short order to somebody, which in England would be considered rude. So, can you do this? No. It's like even the example of a short answer in English is never going to be just yes or no. It's always yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I can. No, I can't. Yes and no is too abrupt. Okay, so these are classic examples. So you can improve a letter by being sensitive to the way that certain things are expressed when they're written in English. For using archaic words, so modern letters now should no longer include words such as hereunder, above mentioned. Okay, we spoke about this previously. Using contract vocabulary. Some formal general English words are acceptable in contracts and other legal documents, but are not natural when used in letters. We may see an example of this later. Okay. Grammatically, number 6, using uncountable nouns incorrectly, or even inventing nouns that don't exist at all. So be aware. We think this is very important. Be aware of which nouns in English are uncountable. And if you're not sure, check in your dictionary. We saw an example yesterday, didn't we, of damage and damages. Depending on the context that you use it, it can be countable or uncountable. If you choose the wrong example, it's incorrect. Yeah, there are lots of examples that in Italian are countable, that in British English are not. So information is always single, it's uncountable. We don't have informations. So could I have some information? Okay, not some informations. News is another example. Advice. Okay. There are many. So do check your dictionary or check online quickly if you're not sure. Confusing a verb with a noun. So are you sure, for example, of the difference between advice and advise? In this case, there is a difference in pronunciation, but there isn't always. Practice, practice. The verb is with an S, the noun is with a C. Okay, so things to check. Articles, right, so make sure that a and the are used correctly, especially if your own language does not use articles, or if your language uses articles more than ours as well. Yesterday, a lot of you wrote the lawyers when I said that a general noun was okay to write simply lawyers. Okay, there are quite a lot of differences between Italian and English in this respect, so the and a, check. Using the wrong collocation, okay, so for example, a lawyer acts for a client and does not work for a client. This is an example of accurate verb to noun collocation. Okay, we said earlier, you don't break a contract, you breach a contract. We said you waive your rights. Okay, there are certain collocations that are always together. And using the wrong preposition. Prepositions are a natural disaster area. They are difficult for us in Italian. They are difficult for you in English. But again, exam tasks for legal English exams require knowledge of the correct preposition at the correct moment. Okay, a normal one-page letter can contain 50 or more prepositions, and if a lot of them are wrong, it gives a very bad impression. One or two little mistakes, okay. Sometimes it changes the meaning, okay, and in that case it's a clear mistake. Okay, so if you turn the page, the exercise 1 concerns a letter on the following page. In the letter, there are certain parts underlined, A to J. Your job in this case now is to identify the problem with the underlined parts of the letter. Okay, matching a number with a letter as previously. Is that clear? Okay, so you read the letter, look at the underlined parts, identify the mistake from... Okay. Who's more on the ball these days? To organise a workshop as well.
Yeah.
Good.
And answering her phone at the weekend,
Mm.
which she
Mm-mm.
never used to. Did she?
Have you nearly finished? No? You're not sure? And also, I won't be going into great detail about this because we still have quite a lot to cover, but we will go through the grammar points relatively quickly. What could I replace that with?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I might need some help with a question that I do not quite understand. So if you could, one of you could help me understand what they're asking. You know, when you write the subject line, is it better to write the word subject? And I said no. I said he should write sub, 2 points, and then go on to say, yeah. And he's written again. He wrote it before, and he gave him the answer. And he's written it again. So I just sort of underline the fact that we don't rewrite the subject. It's like saying, and also.
Okay, in this part, we won't be giving long examples of other substitutions either, just saying what the mistake is and why briefly. Okay, so if you haven't quite finished, follow along anyway. Okay, so we start with A. My client tells me that you have not fulfilled your obligations under the aforesaid contract. What mistake is that? Using an archaic word, and in this case, I think simply this would be sufficient. Okay, so it was mistake 6. 6A, A6. B, about the third time we've seen this word today, could furnish my client with goods. The mistake is 9. Mistake of using a word that is appropriate or inappropriate in a contract. Okay, and we said that the word for furnish better was provide. Moving on to C, he covered the costs of 2 travels that you made. The mistake is? Confusing a verb with a noun, yeah. So what would you prefer? Instead of travels? Trips. Trips is probably the best, sort of gives the idea of a business, not holiday. Journey is the actual movement from A to B. Yeah. D is not that disastrous, to be quite honest. We're talking about a mistake with a preposition. With all the receipts with respect to these trips, with instead of in. But to be quite honest, they could have chosen a far worse problem with a preposition than that one. Okay. E, he has no proofs. Mistake 1, E1, 1E, should be simply with no S, proof. It doesn't have a plural. F, refer to the previous exercises. The mistake is, yeah, being too direct or abrupt. How did you spend the money? Okay. Okay. G, I have said to my client. It's a little too informal, isn't it? Yeah. I've informed my client. Please note that if this matter comes to the court, H. A mistake with the article 8. Okay, comes to court. No article is necessary. Okay, make additional costs is a mistake with the collocation, mistake number 5. You incur costs, I-N-C-U-R, incur. Can you write on the board? Incur, I-N-C-U-R.
Bear costs. Yeah, to bear and incur, it's the same. Yeah, to bear costs.
It is possible.
Yeah.
But again, it's like breach, waive, incur is the more traditional word to use. And finally, mistake number 7, refer to the previous exercises. It is flowery, old-fashioned. So mistake J is 7J. So well done with that, and especially if you managed to correct it also. That was a job well done. Your turn.
Oh, right.
Going dry.
My turn.
Drink.
Okay. Let's have a look at... She's the grammar queen. I am not. Okay, so correcting common mistakes in letter writing. Yeah, I think we're going to do this quite quickly. We're going to do this together so that we can move on and do a few other exercises. So it says, we're looking at too informal. Okay, we've got some sentences here. They are all too informal to be included in a professional letter. So we need to match each sentence with the more formal alternative from the choices underneath. So, sentence A, I was hired by Mr. Felton as his lawyer. Yeah, I am instructed by Mr. Felton. B, my thanks for your letter of 6th May. Our client has now told us what he wants to do. Anybody? Yeah, thank you for your letter, etc., etc. C, I think the judge will agree to what we suggest. Yeah, the court is likely to be sympathetic to our proposal. D, Mr. Felton wants to have back the money that he has spent on hiring lawyers for this case. My client will be seeking costs. Much better. Yes, yes, much better. And tell me if you agree to do what we say we want in this letter. Okay, please confirm that you are in agreement. Excellent, excellent. Good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Did they follow in?
Did they follow in?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody okay in the other cities? Shout if you need. Exercise 3, we're looking at sentences which are too abrupt. Okay, so abrupt being impolite. Each sentence has a mistake, okay, which is highlighted, so you can see the word that's slightly darker. Some of the mistakes are from a list of common mistakes and some are not. So all I want you to do is just correct the mistake that each sentence contains. Okay, so let's have we'll do this together again. So A, I need you to send me more informations about this. Where's the mistake? Yeah, information, no S. B, if you do not pay us now, we will take you before the court. Okay, we will take you to court. C, I don't think what you told about my client's behavior in this situation is correct. I don't think what you said. Good, good, excellent. What you said about my client's behavior. D, I have more things that I want you to explain me. Yeah, explain good. To me. Good. Excellent.
That sounds perfect in Italian.
Mm-hmm. Your client definitely said that my client could start building on this land. Start to build.
Start building isn't awful.
Yeah, start building is not an absolute disaster. It's a mini tsunami, let's say. But we will accept it, I think.
Yeah.
Grammar Queen.
No. In this case, I'm not the grammar queen. Sometimes both are acceptable with certain verbs. So start is a classic example. Stop is another, where you can follow it by a gerund or an infinitive. Stop, a stupid example with stop, for example. I'll just write this on the board very, very quickly, but to show you how sometimes it is interchangeable. Sometimes the meaning changes, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, the meaning wouldn't change drastically. Here, it would. Okay. I stopped smoking. I stopped to smoke. The meanings are completely different. No? In this case, the activity that I stopped is smoking. In this case, I stopped another activity. Why? To smoke. Okay? Ah, I love that noise. Okay, so little thing, in this case it would change the meaning quite drastically. In the case in the letter, it doesn't.
This is why she is the grammar queen. Right, okay, I'm going to, if you don't mind, skip exercises 4 and 5. Exercise 4 is related to exercise 3, so you could do that quite happily by yourselves. Exercise 5, I think I'm just going to skip it and move on, to be honest.
There are more important ones.
Yeah, there are more important exercises that we'd like to do, so... okay, this we will do. This is looking at words which are inappropriate, as in the fact that they are too old-fashioned. Okay, so when lawyers write old letters, their language can sometimes be old-fashioned. So we're going to do this together as well. Okay. Yeah.
Apologise if we're flying through this at the moment, but we would like you to have as many answers as possible on your papers by the end of this session, which is 1:30, therefore 20 minutes from now. Okay, so we've started to fly. If there are problems, please stop us as before. Now we're moving on to page 21.
Okay, so page 21, where it says lawyers often use very formal words when drafting contracts. However, many of these words are not appropriate when writing a letter. The underlined words in the following sentences can be replaced with a word or phrase from the box below. Choose the correct word or phrase. So let's have a look. Sentence A, kindly furnish me. We've seen this before, so the answer is? Yeah, provide. Now, the reason that they keep putting this in is because people keep on making mistakes with this. So, furnish, no. Provide, yes. B, in the event that I am unable, etc., etc., the answer is if. Good. Yeah, is it?
I don't even use the...
Okay. Okay, we're having a little bit of difficulty here about the sentence C on how to pronounce the word. I'm going to say pursuant because nobody ever uses it. So, pursuant to the local planning regulations, the answer would be, yeah, according to. According to. If an English person ever has problems pronouncing a word, it means it's not used, ever. So... my client will procure all necessary documents. Obtain. Good, obtain. E, your client has failed to execute his obligations under the contract. Perform. Good.
Sorry, I've nearly finished. A lot of these words you'll find are probably because they have an equivalent, particularly in the languages such as French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish. They're false friends. No? Furnish. Fornire. Okay, this is the reason they've been put in.
Okay, where are we? Okay, F. This case has had a negative effect upon a great many persons. Yeah, people. Can we remember? One person, two people. Please don't say persons. We deem it necessary to carry out. The answer? Consider. Your client determined the contract. The answer? Oh. Ended. Good. Ended. Yes. Letter I, Mr. Smith undertook. Agreed. Good. We will instigate legal action. Yeah, start legal action. Please send me a copy of all documents pertaining to this matter. Okay, good. And your client gave his express consent. Clear. Good, good. Okay. Other cities, are you okay with all this? Any questions? Yeah? Right, that's fine. Okay. There you go. This is your turn.
Is it? Was what we were not sure about.
We were not sure about. We think it's pursuant.
I say pursuant, she says pursuant.
I'm going to listen to word reference and see what it tells me.
When we don't use these words very often, we don't know the pronunciation. Also a new word for an English person.
God, it hasn't even got out. Pursuant to.
I think it's pursuant.
It doesn't tell me the. It won't give me the. It won't give me the thing.
The pronunciation's not even on the reference, no. That shows you how often it's used.
Yeah, I think it's pursuant.
I say pursuant.
Yeah. Okay. Next one.
Oh, we're doing a good job now. We're actually,
Well, we might do it.
we're nearly there. We're nearly there. Okay. Confusing a verb with a noun. We've seen some of these before. Okay, so A, please send me your advise. What is the problem with that? It should be with a C instead of an S. Advise is a verb. Advice is a noun. Okay, and B, respond is a verb. What's the noun? Using the same root, though. Response. Response. No, Julie, can you write it? Yes, sorry. We could do it phonetically. Advice response.
God, I've written it right, haven't I?
Response.
Yes, okay.
My travel to England was by plane. In this case, I think there are two possibilities. Journey is one possibility, but I would prefer trip or flight. Trip or flight. Yeah. Journey is also feasible. You could fly in a helicopter, a hot air balloon, a spaceship. I can go on. Okay, the euro is weak against the dollar at the moment, and this has had a bad effect on business. This is one of those mistakes that British people also make frequently. Not all British people can spell. Because of English being such an illogical language for spelling, you can find newspapers that make mistakes also. The famous newspaper, The Guardian, was nicknamed the Gruniad for many years because of the sheer number of mistakes in their spelling. Okay. And do you have prove? Prove is the verb. The noun is?
No, we didn't give the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped one. So affect should be effect. Affect is a verb. Effect is a noun. And prove is a verb. And the noun is? Proof. Proof. Yeah, it's the same, but we're looking for the same root here. Yeah. Somebody said evidence. Yeah.
Okay. I like this one. Yeah.
Do you? Good.
Yeah. Okay, and the next one. Okay, using articles incorrectly. Okay, so the following sentence we'll do it together. You're going to decide if the sentences are correct or incorrect. Okay, so A, how long was the yesterday's meeting? Correct or incorrect? Incorrect, yes. How long was yesterday's meeting? B.
That's because when there's a possessive.
There's no.
When there is a possessive, you don't need the article.
B, I have an appointment with Anthony Costello in the morning. Correct or incorrect? Correct, good.
Examples? No? Okay.
Shut up. Sorry. Okay, C.
To be silent.
Okay, C. The clause 5 of this contract deals with termination. Incorrect. Clause 5. Yeah, good. D. The force majeure clause is at the end of the contract. Correct. Good. Correct. E. The court in Dobson Street was built in 1855. Correct. Good.
Take someone to court, but the court is specific.
If you do not pay my bill, I will see you in the court. Exactly, incorrect. So it's basically the opposite of the previous sentence. The damages awarded to my client amounted to £15,000. Correct or incorrect? Oh, correct. It's correct. The damages. We're being very specific here. And my client was awarded £15,000 in the damages. Incorrect. Incorrect. Okay. Now, using the wrong collocation, okay, as we said before, using the right collocation is absolutely vital because you could get the whole meaning of your sentence wrong. So, let's look at the following sentences. Each sentence contains two collocations that are not correct. Choose the correct words from the box to complete each sentence. Should we do this together?
Are you okay doing these quickly together so that you have answers? Yeah.
Yeah? Is that okay? Okay, so...
And are we going too quickly in the other cities? I hope not, because we would like to get this finished if we can. So we're going through the answers incredibly quickly at the moment when I stop talking.
Okay. Sentence A. What interest level can you offer us if we borrow the loan? What interest? Rate. Can you offer us if we take out? Yeah, take out the loan. B, my client does not wish to lose more time on this matter nor to spend any further expense. My client does not wish to waste more time on this matter nor to incur any further expense. Excellent. C, payment for these goods was owed on the 21st of April and we request payment of the late amount immediately. Payment for these goods was due on the 21st of April and we request payment of the outstanding amount immediately. Outstanding. Are we okay? Am I going too fast? No? Other cities, you all are happy? Excellent. We're all hungry. The legal quarrel between your client and the bank arose because your client did not reimburse his debt. The legal dispute between your client and the bank arose because your client did not pay his debt. My client refuses your allegations, and if you pursue this matter further, we think the court will judge in our favour. My client denies your allegations, and if you pursue this matter further, we think the court will find in our favour. Excellent. I do. The court will rule. Yeah, the court will rule in your favour. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Rule in your favour.
But find in our favour is again, it's just the more typical one.
Okay, now.
Oh, Julia's dream, prepositions.
Yeah. I have a dream in life. All Italians will remember their prepositions. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. It's never happened. Right, let's see what we can come up with. Again, we'll do this together, okay?
I will write these. I'll write these on the boards for the other cities because some of them sound similar.
Okay, I'll just give you. Ready?
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So A, thank you for your letter.
Always a doubt.
Your letter of. Your letter of the 10th of December. B, further to.
Usually people get that wrong.
Yes. Dated the. You would have the article the. C, our client will also be seeking compensation for. Good. For. You will be able to claim certain other expenses incurred as a result. Perhaps you could let me know if our proposal is acceptable.
I knew everybody would say acceptable. With 4,
2. Acceptable to you. Okay. Right. And more prepositions. Quick, because we're on the last one. It's great. Yeah.
Perfect.
Perfect. So we're on. Okay. So 2 more exercises with prepositions. Okay. The sentences below each contain a mistake in the use of prepositions. Each sentence contains 1 mistake. Underline the preposition that is not correct in each sentence. A. Thank you for instructing Morton and partners to act. Yeah. On your behalf. So it's not for, it's on. B. I am a partner in this firm and will have overall responsibility for your case. Yeah, for your case. Good. We are obliged to add VAT to our charges currently at the rate of 20%. All payments you make to this firm will be placed in a client's account in your name. This firm is audited by external auditors from time to time. We cannot accept responsibility for intercepted emails, etc. Okay, good.
Have we found a class that's good at prepositions?
I will be happy if you get the last one if you get it right. In 20 years, you will be my first class that gets it right, so congratulations. Okay, and the last exercise. In the sentences below, circle the correct preposition from the 2 options offered. So, the most important provisions in or for in the agreement are as follows. Clause 7 covers the sale for or of partnership assets. Clause 8 covers partnerships at or with other entities. Clause 9 covers restrictions on transferring shares to or for third parties. Please let me know if there are other matters for or on which you require advice. On which. Class of 2019, thank you for making me happy with prepositions. Thank you very much. Now the last page is just a reading for you. It basically covers everything that we've done. It's questions and the answers. So if you do have any doubts when you're writing letters, etc., read the last page. Check. It's a bit of a checklist for you, okay? If your answers and your letter is good, then you will have everything correct on your checklist, okay? Right, we will see you in December. In December, yes, okay.
I think
for 8 hours. 8 hours in one day.
Oh, yes.
If somebody wants to bring in a bottle.